You are making the world a better place by listening to the Joy of Living podcast. This is your guide to achieving a more purposeful, powerful, and positive life. Join Barry Shore in unlocking the best version of you and becoming happier, healthier, and wealthier. And now, here's your ambassador of joy, Barry Shore.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Maybe good-looking, which always looking for and finding the good. We have good in abundance today with an amazing being. His name is JR, but it's not his real name. But I won't even talk about that. But you have tuned in consciously and conscientiously to the Joy of Living podcast with your humble host, Barry Shore. And you tuned in for one reason and one reason only. It's the best reason in the whole world, because you care the most in the entire world about you. YOU. And that's great, by the way, because when you become the best you make the world a better place. You build more bridges of harmony, create more joy, happiness, peace, and love in the world. And the reason you tune in, and people all over the world are tuning in over this magnificent medium called the internet. Well, right now, there are about 348,613 people around the world. By the time we bring on JR, it'll be over 360,000. And I am deeply humbled and honored that you come every week, and about 330,000 people, and you're always bringing new friends. And God willing, we'll be up to 500,000 people in the next few months, listening around the world. And I urge everybody all the time, please share this with 5 people, not 50, not 100, not that, 5 people. That way we're going to touch 1.5 million people and make a real difference in the world, because you know that on this show, we discuss the 3 fundamentals of life. And when you use these 3 fundamentals, you will become happier, healthier, and wealthier. Who doesn't want that? Now, the 3 fundamentals, of course, are number 1, life. Your life has purpose. And when you lead a purpose-driven life, number 2 happens. Now, this is a good number 2. You go MAD. Now, MAD is a wonderful acronym that stands for make a difference. You lead a purpose-driven life, you make a difference in the world. And the 3rd fundamental is to uncover the power and the secret of everyday words and terms. Simple example. Smile. Everybody likes a smile, right? Well, smile is a wonderful word that you can internalize, utilize, and leverage in your life, because smile stands for seeing miracles in life every day. Seeing miracles in life every day. Now, invariably, when I'm speaking to audiences, and just recently I did a live in person, no mask, lots of hugging, all kinds of good stuff. 1,176 people in the room, and we were just lifting up each other. And I talked about seeing miracles in life every day, but still in all, some people raise their hand and say, hey, Barry Shore, I've been up for hours, I haven't seen any miracles. And I asked them, are you here? Can you hear? Can you stand still? I can't do that. Can you walk? I can barely do that. You have water to drink, you have food to eat, you have a place to sleep, you have family, you have friends. Every single one of those is a miracle. Now, what's the proof? Simplest proof. 1 million people didn't get out of bed this morning. You know why? They died. By definition, if you're watching or you're listening, you didn't. Therefore, you have an obligation to live life to the full, live life exuberantly. Let me tell you a quick story. It's about me. Imagine, if you can, standing up in the morning, hale and hearty, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound, and that evening being in the hospital, totally, completely paralyzed. Not from an automobile accident, not a spinal injury. A rare disease took over my body and rendered me a quadriplegic overnight. Nothing in my body moved, my neck down. I can only communicate by blinking my eyes. I was 144 days in the hospital. I was 4 years in a wheelchair. I was in a hospital bed in my own home for 2 years. I couldn't turn over by myself. I had braces on both my legs, my hips to my ankles, and that was progress. Thank God today I'm able to be vertical and ambulatory with the help of a 7-foot walking wand. So I'm a triped, not a biped. I still can't walk up a stair by myself. I can't walk up a curb by myself. And I have help 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. But you hear my voice. Positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant. All because of one word. Smile. Seeing miracles in life every day. I got to tell you quickly, my 8-year-old niece comes over to me a few weeks ago and says, Uncle Barry, can we spell smile? S-M-I-E-L? I thought about it. Smile, smile, sounds the same. Why not? I asked her, how come? She says, because then it would stand for seeing miracles in everyday life. Out of the mouth of babes. But what was she doing? She was creating the kind of world she wants to live in. Now, CREATE is a wonderful acronym. It stands for causing rethinking, enabling all to excel. That's what you're going to learn with JR today, rethinking. So let's talk about the 6 most important words you ever can utilize, internalize, and leverage in your life. These 6 words are: choice, not chance, determines your destiny. Choice, not chance, determines the trajectory and the pathway of your life. Now, I got to tell you, before JR comes on, I have to warn the new people in the audience that I do use a lot of 4-letter words. I even use the 4-letter FU word because it's fun and for the shock value. Now, the 4-letter words that we use, of course, because we live in the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, 4-letter words we use are love, life, hope, free, gift, grow, pray, play, swim. And the 4-letter FU word, of course, is fun. Fun, yes. F-U, capital N, capital N. I know some people raise their hands and say, hey, Barry Shore, fun's only spelled with 3 letters. Not in our world. The world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant. Fun is spelled F-U, capital N, capital N. So after the show, when you see your family and your friends, you have a twinkle in your eye and a smile on your face. Remember what that stands for. Point your finger and say, F-U, everybody. But remember to add right away capital N, capital N. Say, where'd you get that? So I listen to Barry Shore and the joy of living. And he wants to teach the world to F-U, capital N, capital N. Now, before we bring on JR, I'm going to urge everybody to do something that's going to benefit you, your family, your friends, and all living beings. You want to use the 2 most powerful words in the English language 3 times a day, consciously and conscientiously for now and the rest of your life. You will be happier, healthier, and wealthier by doing this. Now, the 2 most powerful words in the English language are thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank stands for to harmonize and nurture kindness. To harmonize and nurture kindness. The Dalai Lama is quoted saying, I read in his writings, be kind whenever possible. And he said, it's always possible. So imagine you go into your coffee shop, you order your fancy latte, you sit down, somebody brings it to you, say, thank you. You go in the coffee shop, you sit down, a few minutes go by, you order your fancy latte, a few minutes go by, nobody brings it to you. You go up to the counter and they say, oh, I'm sorry, we forgot, we're busy, we'll bring it to you. You sit down, a couple of minutes go by, somebody brings it, you still say, thank you. You're walking out of the coffee shop, it's raining out. Somebody holds the door open for you. You say, thank you. You're walking out of the coffee shop and it's raining and somebody slams the door on you. That's right. You say, thank you. You're late for an appointment, stuck in traffic. Somebody cuts you off. You say, thank you. You get up in the middle of the night and you stub your toe and it hurts. You say, thank you. To harmonize and nurture kindness. I can't think of anybody that is more kind, more giving that I want to share with you right now. KIND stands for keep inspiring noble deeds. Then the amazing, wonderful J.R. Spear. J.R.
Man, you are full of energy.
Yeah, you are too. You're full of it. And please say hello to 361,822 people around the world.
Hello, hello, hello. So glad to be here.
Okay, so JR he's a bundle of energy. More importantly, he is a channel of goodness. I call him a cog, a channel of goodness, a child of God. And that's what he is. He's a cog in a big machine that is enabling you to become the best you possible. I'm going to tell you a couple of quick things about JR because if I start reading everything about his biography, it'll take the rest of the show. But I want to emphasize 2 major points. Number 1, JR is a veteran. We thank him for his service because otherwise we don't have protection in our country, in our world. And he's a survivor from being blown up in Iraq. Now, for those of you living under Iraq, Iraq is in what they call the Near or Middle East, and there was a war raging there for years. And unfortunately, many, many people lost their lives, lost a lot of parts of their being were left behind there. So JR knows what he talks about when we're talking about avoiding and being prepared for an ambush. In addition to that, though, he was able to navigate through that and now create for himself this channel of goodness where he helps people build businesses, build themselves, and create ways of life that they never dreamt possible. So, JR, with that introduction, let's just jump right in and talk about this subject that you and I really, really enjoy, which is being prepared for the inevitable, I put that in brackets, ambush in life. Take it away.
Yeah, where do you want me to start? How early?
Well, first of all, you know something? We have a worldwide audience. They all speak and listen and know English. But why don't you even describe what an ambush is and what it means to be prepared for one?
Yeah, so ambush can be different to anyone, but what I consider an ambush is something that takes you by surprise. So what is it? Something that you are not expecting that takes you by surprise that can be in a negative sense. So for the ambush that I was talking about in the military term was more of like, hey, I got blown up by a suicide bomber. I was at a walking checkpoint on February 7th, 2007. And what we did was search everyone that was walking in and out of the city. And while I was by the opening and walking in front of an individual that was walking into the city, he was strapped with C4, lifted his arms and blew himself up. And so I was standing maybe 6-7 feet away from the individual, and it was the biggest bloodbath that I've ever experienced over in combat during that time. And if it wasn't me listening to the inner voice and the Holy Spirit telling me, saying, hey, you need to move, well, I probably wouldn't be standing here today, because my sergeant major, who ended up walking right past me at the seconds before the blast happened, ended up standing right where I was at for about 45 minutes, and he ended up paying the ultimate sacrifice. Same thing with Corporal Emery at the time. I was standing next to him. He was right next to Sergeant Major. He ended up losing both of his legs. He's still living today. Lost both of his legs and has many other injuries himself. We lost one other Marine. Her name was Jennifer Purcell. And then we lost our interpreter, Jimmy, during that same blast. So an ambush is something that takes you by surprise. And, you know, in life, you know, we're going to get ambushed by so many different things. So it could be, let's just say from a business standpoint, like how many people are going to be prepared and ready when COVID happens, when a worldwide pandemic happens, when an employee ends up quitting, when a client ends up quitting, when you have a family member or a child that gets sick, or you have a car that breaks down and now you can't travel to your place of occupation or whatever you got to do. There's always going to be something that takes us by surprise, but it's how you respond that matters. And here's a quote.
Let's pause there for the moment, because you just said, remember, the 6 most important words you could ever internalize, utilize, and leverage in your life are choice, not chance, determines your destiny. It's how you respond in any given situation, as you just said. Let's use the word surprise, and you just rattled off numbers of them. Of course, touched everybody around the world. So on some level, one can never be prepared for a worldwide epidemic. By the same token, you can be prepared for any eventuality in life because you maintain equanimity and outlook. That's what I'd like you to speak about. The ability not so much say, well, I know there's an epidemic coming. Well, gee, you didn't. But if you can maintain equanimity and be capable of responding not in a rash manner that your heart is beating so fast that you can't think, but you can literally calm yourself and move into a place where you can think, then maybe you can use the surprise as a springboard to greater things. Is that possible?
Yeah. So it goes back to a couple different things. One, I like to say, if you stay ready, you'll never have to get ready. So that always comes with being prepared and making sure that you're always prepared, always ready to go. But almost like what you were just saying right there is like, you got to do the steps and do the hard work to actually make sure that you can respond. And we call this muscle memory, and that only happens through continuous training. So when that blast actually happened and I was left unconscious, didn't know really what was going on, and I didn't even know if I had my limbs or anything like that. But my job in the military was I provided security for the chaplain. Chaplains are non-combatants, meaning they can't even carry a weapon even for defense. So they had someone like me that actually protected the chaplain during a time of war. So when that blast happened, I saw the chaplain. He was thrown on the ground. I was thrown on the ground. Couldn't see to my left or right. I had straight tunnel vision. Couldn't hear anything. Couldn't lift my arm or my rifle or nothing. I didn't even know if all my limbs were there. But I saw the chaplain crawling on the ground, barely able to move. And I responded and did what I could and walked, and I not really walk. I crawled over to him grabbed him by the back of his flak, and I dragged him about 15 to 25 yards underneath shelter. And I saw one of my senior enlisted personnel just waving at me. I couldn't hear him, and I was just going right to where he was because I couldn't see where I was going. But I responded off of that situation. And not just that, after I got him underneath shelter, I did what I was trained to do, which was assess the area, see what I could do to help provide and make sure there was no other danger going around. And then I assisted the other Marines that were in the area. So this all goes back to the beginning of the training. Like the things that you do today is going to prepare you for tomorrow. So if you look back, I was in the Navy, but I was attached to the Marine Corps. So when we get off the bus and boot camp and set our feet on the two yellow footprints, from that day on, we are being conditioned and trained to respond and react in a certain way. So when that day does happen, when you get ambushed, that you are able to respond without thinking. And it all boils down to what are you willing to give up? What are you willing to do to actually complete that mission? Well, starting boot camp, they had to change the way that you think. We had to change the way that we acted. We had to change our habits. We had to change the way we talked. We had to change the way we stood. We had to change our body physically so that way we were healthy. We had to change our body mentally so that way we thought differently, we talked differently, we act differently. Everything from being out in the middle, getting up in the middle of dark 30 in the middle of the night, going on 10, 20, 30-mile hikes when we didn't want to, sitting on the firing range, pumping thousands of rounds down the range in the middle of the rain when we don't want to feel like doing that. Doing all the continuous training that we don't want to do because it's uncomfortable, because it's hard to prepare you for the day when you do get ambushed. No different inside of business. Inside of business, there are things that we need to do and the steps that we need to take every single day to making sure that we are prepared for the day when we get ambushed in our business. Because those that were not prepared for when the worldwide pandemic happened, their businesses suffered, their families suffered, and they didn't know what to do. But there is still a huge percentage of us that the COVID, the pandemic, it did not affect us one bit. And I can say that it didn't affect me one bit.
I want to make a bold statement here. Because I know that you know a number of people. I can mention 3 right now that have told me that their business today is bigger, better, and more efficient than it was before COVID. It's the best thing that ever happened to them. Not that they wanted to go through it. Let's be clear. But they were able to respond in such a way, and they didn't know if they were going to, that their business is far better today than it ever was. Now, that is something that's fantastic because that's the nature of life. Let's be blunt. When something happens, let's say a terrible thing, a cyclone goes through a town and destroys half the town. Well, that's terrible. And we come in and we help people. By the same token, well, for good or ill, there are people out there called builders and craftspeople and other people who are now going to come in and rebuild. Well, that's great for business. Not the kind of business you want, but let's be blunt. That's life. What you're talking about, JR, is making sure that people understand, and this is why you built your business and are able to help people really achieve, is because you make them aware and then you work with them through, in quotation marks, a boot camp for causing, remember I said about create is causing rethinking, enabling all to excel. When you can shift your thinking, now there is nothing that's going to deter you. Okay, it might hurt you, it might knock you down, but it won't deter you. It can't. You're on a mission. Am I correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's keep going.
I was saying, I mean, just for me, it's not like my business wasn't this exact same the way it was before the pandemic, but I was able to prepare myself just mentally and physically and just able to adapt to certain situations. And I am one of those people that where my business did thrive and grow during the pandemic. And it wasn't because I didn't sit back and just wait for something to happen. I was ready to attack it. I mean, that's what we're trained in the Marine Corps. It's like, hey, you see a mission, you see an enemy, you go out there and you attack it and you go kill. Same thing in your business. When something comes at you, you don't detract and you don't allow excuses to say, hey, just because this happened, I'm going to sit back and I'm not going to do anything. You go out there, you attack and you kill and you make something happen. And so those that actually survived and thrived during the pandemic, we didn't just sit back. We saw opportunities. We created. We went out there and served and made an impact and did things to make it happen. And that's just the nature of the beast. But you have to make sure that you're doing the things and the steps to actually prepare to beforehand, because you got to be this up here mentally prepared to make it sure that when anything comes, you're able to adapt to those situations and adjust accordingly.
So one of the great reasons people tune into the Joy of Living podcast, in addition to enjoying what I do and what my guest, in this case, J.R. Spear, is that the show is not about JR and it's not about Barry Shore. Great people that we are. This show is about you, the one who's listening, who's watching. So let's give people 2, maximum 3 practical tips that they can literally bring into their lives right after this show that can help shift their perspective. And by the way, I've been working with people for more than 4 decades. And I can tell you something, JR, when I teach people about shift, 97.2% of the people immediately drop the F in shift and the other stuff happens. You got to be effing careful with your Fs. You want to shift your perspective. Let's tell people 2, maximum 3 pieces that you can tell them about training from a battle preparedness place.
Yeah. So first off, there's a method that I teach called ICE. So, and it stands for identifying the threats, creating a plan, and executing the mission. And this goes with not even just the entrepreneurs. This goes with everyday life in general. So the first part, let's just talk about identifying your threats. What are the different threats that are keeping you from achieving the mission or goals or whatever you want to do in life? Let's just say you have a weight loss goal. So you have the idea that you want to lose 20 pounds or whatever it may be, but what are the threats that are stopping you from wanting to achieve those goals? Is it going to be your nutrition? Is it going to be your exercise? Is it going to be accountability? Is it that you need to have a coach? Is it you have medical condition that you need to take certain supplements or whatever it may be to help you actually reach that goal? So you have to identify the threats. Same thing in combat. Before we went to war, before we went to Iraq, we had to identify all the key threats that we were going to be able to come against, whether it's going to be a suicide bomber, IEDs, or it's going to be snipers, the conditions, the environment, the type of climate that we're going to be a part of. There's so many different things that we have to make sure that we identified. That goes to the second part, which is create a plan. So when we identify the threats, we need to create a plan that's going to help us overcome and achieve those different things. So in the military, when we identify those threats, now we actually have to create a plan that's going to help us combat those different threats. So we had to be physically ready. So we had to be exercising regularly. We had to make sure that we were practicing hiking and learning how to pack our packs. We had to make sure that we knew how to work the Humvees and, work with supply, work with logistics, work with all the different things, with the different types of weapons, all the different organizations and components that go within the Marine Corps itself, and then create that plan and the training that's going to take to help us achieve that mission. And the third part, which is the E, it's execute the mission. So you got to take massive action, whatever that is. Identify the threats, create the plan that's going to help you achieve that mission, and then you got to take massive action to do that. Now, there's a few things that keeps people from getting to where they want to go. And one, it always starts in their own belief. They got to get out of their head and they got to make a choice saying, hey, this is what I want. If they don't make the choice and then decide saying, hey, I want to lose 20 pounds or I want to build a business or I want to do X, Y, Z, whatever that is, they're never going to be able to do it. If you want to run a marathon, you have to make the choice and commit and say, I want to run a marathon. And then you got to create the plan that's going to help you to be able to run that marathon. But the first step to any type of success is, one, is making that choice. Two, is you got to commit. Most failure in business boils down to belief, commitment, and not the willingness to sacrifice. They're not committed enough to be able to do the things that it takes to build a business that they desire. And they're not willing to sacrifice the things that it takes to build a business that they desire. I mean, it all boils down to one big circle. It boils down to your own belief and making that choice. It boils down to your commitment. And it comes down to, are you willing to sacrifice different things? Because building a business or anything in life that actually makes you uncomfortable takes hard work. And most people are not willing.
That's the 4-letter F. That's the 4-letter word ending with K. Work.
There you go. Yeah. But anything in life, you got to identify the threats that you're going to be coming up against. You got to create that plan that's going to help you get there. And then you got to execute the mission and take massive action. And so anytime I try to tell people, it's like, okay, if you're starting out in your business or if you're struggling in your business, what are the threats that are keeping you from getting to the goals, or for the threats that are keeping you from getting to where you want to go? Let's nail that down. Let's figure that out because let's just say you're doing I was on a sales call with one of my clients yesterday, or not a sales call, but I was on a coaching call with one of my clients, and we're diving into numbers. And I go, okay, for you to reach your goals, how many leads do you need to get from this time to that time? He said somewhere around 600 leads. And I go, okay, how many of those leads are you going to be able to sell? And he says about 120 or 130. And I said, well, there's a big problem right there. You want 600 leads to come in and you're only closing about 120. I don't think that's your problem. I think your biggest problem comes down to your sales process because you should be closing a lot more than, I don't even think that's 10%.
Wait, that was 20%. So in other words, I want to set the parameters for everybody so you understand. So JR just gave us ice. Now, ice doesn't mean that you put it out in the sun and it melts. Ice means you identify an issue, you create the plan, and you execute it. And as he says, massive action. Did everybody hear that? Hey, Ma, massive action. Yeah. And belief. You got to know that you can do this. If you don't believe it, it's not going to happen. But let's just take the numbers you just used. 600 leads, and he's closing 120. That's 20%. He has the 80-20 rule backwards.
Yeah.
In other words, the 80-20 rule is that he should be closing 50% or more, and he doesn't realize it. Now, if those 20 leads that he closed, by the way, were each, let's say, worth X, $1 million or $500,000 each, okay, then it's a different story. But if he's going and he's getting 600 leads and he's only making $1,000 in each one, well, then he is in a world of hurt, isn't he?
So absolutely. He's making less than $1,000 per each one of those sales. Well, so then it should be a lot easier to close.
Right. So JR is helping him he just identified a roadblock, an issue that he didn't even know himself. He said, well, I need 600. I'll close. Hello, your closing ratio is not good. Therefore, your sales process. Let's take steps back. So this is the genius of what JR does. When we started out with saying being prepared for the ambush, well, this guy just showed he ambushed himself. I don't know if it was a man or a woman. I said a man. But the point is he or she ambushed himself. Am I correct?
Yeah, 100%.
And the only way you actually understand yourself better is by either having a coach, a mentor, or recognizing that by doing things on your own, you're not maximizing what you can do with what you have. And that's part of what JR does. He has this remarkable group, which we'll talk about on the other side of the break in just a couple of minutes, called Creed. And his mission is really to, as he calls it, to arm small business. He can't get rid of the military stuff. To arm small businesses and enable people to have the right tools for success. When you have the right tools and you have the right belief system and you put your processes in place, I'm going to say these words. You ready? You cannot fail. Yeah. You may stumble. It may not be what you thought it was going to be, but you cannot fail. But without the arming by JR and the tools and such, you will not win. It's that simple. You can't. You'll stumble. That's not a way to live in life. You're going to be hit by the ambush. Okay, we only got another minute before the break or so. So let's just continue to dive in. You gave us ice, and you gave us belief. Is there something else that is absolutely fundamental to the process of success in business and life? Because the life of business.
So I wrote a book called, it's called Success Guide to Building Your Coaching Empire, but ultimately it's a strategic battle plan for any entrepreneur. And inside of there, I go through the foundational pieces, but I also discuss 4 non-negotiable tasks that every entrepreneur, especially in today's technology, information, and social media world that we have, that they need to do every single day to build success inside of their business. And it's something that I call and created called your daily pile, P-I-L-E. You love acronyms. I use acronyms for everything. But just really understand, what is your daily pile? And are you doing this every single day? Well, the P in your daily pile is producing daily content. And you could choose your platform no matter what it is.
Wait, let's unpack pile. Producing daily content. What's the I?
Improving your products and services and customer experience.
Improving the process. Next is the L.
Yep. L is leadership.
Leadership.
Yep. And then E is expanding your network.
Expanding your network. So let's just go through them again. The P is prepare content every day.
Yep. Produce daily content. I is improving your products and services.
Improvement. L is leadership. Remember, leading yourself. And E is
expanding your network.
Expand your network. On that high note, we're going to go to a brief break. We have people that love the show, so we urge you to patronize them because they have great products and services. And we'll be right back with more JR. This guy is the tip of the spear, to use a pun, because that's his last name, Spear. And you're going to learn a lot more on the other side of this break, so do not go away. There's more JR coming up. Buckle up, get ready, because we are on a rocket ship. Be back after this brief break. Imagine the kind of place you would want to shop for your favorite fur baby pet. HonestPets.co. Well, you found it. HonestPets.co. Not .com, .co. This is your go-to spot for the best, the cleanest pet treats that exist anywhere on the planet. All of the brands go through a rigorous review to make sure they meet the high standards of cleanliness, health benefits, and naturalness. This site was started by a husband and wife team, and it's veteran-owned, and that care about pets, especially dogs and cats, and coming soon, bird treats. These are very nice young people who really care about making a difference, because a portion of proceeds go to support veteran organizations with a focus on service dogs. This is the place where you want to go. You want to tell your friends this has the finest, yummiest, freshest, all-natural treats and stuff for your fur baby. So go there, honestpets.co. honestpets.co. Do it now. Opportunity. What an opportunity. I'm going to use 2 4-letter words right now. Free gift. Free gift. Yes, you can have a copy of my best-selling book, The Joy of Living, How to Slay Stress and Be Happy, the ebook version, for absolutely free. All you have to do is send an email to me, Barry, Barry, at barryshore.com, and in the heading, the subject line, just write free gift. It's as easy as that. This is a life-changing, life-enhancing opportunity. Barry at barryshore.com. You'll be glad you did. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Free gift. Do it now. Take the action. Make it happen right now. Best wishes. Bye. Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Remember, you're good-looking because you're always looking for and finding the good. We have good in abundance, and J.R. Spear. Our cup runneth over with good. And he just left us in a pile of shift. Now remember, shift, you got to pronounce the F or the other stuff happens. So we had a pile from JR, and he said, you got to post every day, you got to improve, you have leadership, and you need to expand your business, your marketplace, your reach. Okay, let's dive into this interesting concept between sales and marketing, because most people in business put them in together in the same bucket. And in fact, they are 2 different processes entirely. By the way, let's talk about business just for a moment, because it's so important. This is a business-oriented show today, and business is something that is not separate from any other part of your life. Every aspect of your life, in your marriage, with your children, with your friends, with your coworkers, with your family, it's all part of business, because business is spelled B-U-S-I-N-E-S-S. Notice that the U comes before the I. The essence of business is always making sure that the other person, the other group, gets what they need and want, and then you'll have everything you want. And again, the same thing in family, friends, with self. You need to be nourishing yourself physically, mentally, and spiritually. I think you'll agree to that. Wonderful, JR. Let's just talk to people. I want to mention to them that you're the founder of what we call Creed Consulting, C-R-E-E-D. And I'm giving you an acronym for Creed. You ready? You ready for the acronym for Creed?
Let's go.
Creating remarkable, extraordinary, enduring destiny.
There you go. Actually, so an acronym that I created that stands for differently.
Yes. Well, I hope so. It's your business.
Yeah, it stands for commitment, resilience, excellence, execution, and discipline.
Excellent. Those are the processes. And the
Yep.
result is, but together, so together we expand and improve. So talk to us from your perspective, sales and marketing. Are they the same or are they different?
Two completely different things. So marketing is more of like the branding and awareness and what you do to actually draw people in. And sales is actually the closing of the interaction transaction that you have with the individual. So when you're thinking about marketing, what I look at marketing as, what can you do to bring awareness to your products and services that you are selling to the audience that you want to reach. So this could be everything from social media content. It could be from billboards, bandit signs, from events, whatever it may be. But what are you doing to market yourself, to get your name out there and awareness so people know who you are? You don't want to be the best kept secret. And a lot of people, it's like they sit there and wait for people to come to them. But the reality is you got to be proactive and go out there as well. So what are we doing to actually go out there and market ourselves so people are aware about what we have to offer? And then the sale, what I consider the sale, is the transaction between two parties of a product or service. So that's what's actually taking place, is the actual sale in that sense. Two completely different things. The sale is not the marketing, because you're not like when you got to bring people in through the marketing that actually leads to the sale, which is two different pieces of the pie when it comes to the funnel process. But marketing.
I would like to pause at something here. Again, I am chronologically older than you, so I can say these things. And people approach me oftentimes say, well, things are different today than they were 10 years, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago when I started business. I did. I've been in business, literally business, transactional and transformational business since the age of 13. So that's over 60 years. And I think about it before I answer, because I don't like to answer people flippantly, but I do think about it. And I give similarly this answer almost every time. Things are not changed. Some of the exterior has changed. Of course, do things move faster? Can you reach more people quicker and for less money? Well, yes. But the awareness that you just mentioned of becoming aware is the same process. Whether it was done by direct mail years past, it was done by advertising in newspapers or radio or television. Every medium always says, well, this is the newest thing. It's changing the world. Yes, it changes the world, but the world is still made up of human beings. Human beings are the same as they always were. Every human being that we interact with, and let's say the United States of America or anywhere in the world that's in an emerging capitalist society, works with the same radio frequency, WIIFM, right? You know this one, JR. WIIFM. What's in it for me?
Yeah.
When you can make people aware that you have something that is of great benefit to them, well, guess what? The ear opens, the mind opens, people lean in physically or emotionally, and they shake their head yes and say, well, I'd like to know more. And once you allow them to know more, then the sales result is a foregone conclusion. Unless you're really bad at what you do, and most people who are at least good at marketing are usually better at capable of making the sale happen, then the sale is a natural result. Let's go to something else that you said, and I really like this point. You wrote this great book, The Success Guide to Building Your Coaching Empire. So he noticed that I'm saying it slowly. So, JR didn't write a book about building a great coaching business. Okay, could have been a title. But he wrote the Success Guide, because that's what he is. He's a guide to building your coaching empire. Now, an empire means there are many, many pieces to an empire. You have to have many different departments, and they all have to work in coordination. Like when you said you're in the military, your role in the military, you say, was to guard the chaplain. That was fascinating, because you told us that the chaplain doesn't carry armament.
Yep. Not
even for protection. So you were the shield. This is amazing. I mean, I'm talking about, I'm looking at JR, and if you're not watching him, you need to, because he's really a stalwart. But if you're only listening, it's wonderful. He was a shield to a being whose whole purpose was to bring benefit to others. That's what a chaplain is. Am I correct?
Yep.
So JR was practicing his business before he created his business, because that's really what you're doing in your business now. You're a shield for people who want to go out and build an empire of goodness, an ecosystem of good. So let's talk about it. Tell us one or two of the important aspects of the empire building book.
Yeah, well, inside of the book itself, I focus on two main things. I focus on one, building the foundations of your business, which goes through 5 different key components of understanding your mission, your purpose, your identity, your destination, who's your ideal client, what's your messaging, what are the problems you're solving, what's your irresistible offer. And then the other part is I walk them through the battle plan of what they should be doing daily, which goes into your daily pile. So, which is exactly what we just talked about. Those are the 4 non-negotiable tasks that we need to be doing daily as entrepreneurs to be building up your business. So what are you doing to focus on? Did you stack up your pile today? What's your daily pile? You got to make sure you're being intentional about the things that you're doing every single day. So many entrepreneurs that they drive me crazy because they're like, man, I had such a busy day. I was good. I'm going to take the rest of the day off. It's like 2:00. I'm going to take the rest of the day off because I can. I'm my own boss. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm going to go hang out with some of my friends, my family, do whatever. It's like, well, did you get everything done? Yeah. I sent out my social media posts. I filed my papers in my office. I made a couple phone calls. I'm good. And I'm like, what did you do to actually build your business? And yet they still feel productive. But then they come back not that long later and they're complaining about why they don't have clients and why their business isn't growing, why they have no money and why they feel stuck. It's because they're not doing the things that it takes to build their business. So I've had the opportunity to build 6 different businesses over the past 16 years. And when I was reflecting on everything that I've been built, it boiled down to those 4 components that I have to do every single day to making sure that I'm keeping the needle moving forward inside of my business. And that is producing daily content. That is improving my products and services. That is leadership. And leadership has 3 components. So it's learning to start with leading myself mentally, physically, in every aspect, learning how to lead my team, and then also learning how to lead my clients to the big promise that I gave. Am I focusing on all 3 of those leadership capabilities? And then the expanding your network is we all need to be intentional about meeting at least one new person every single day to be adding to our pipeline. If you did that every single day, all year long, that's 365 new contacts that you can have inside of your pipeline. Now, will they be your ideal client? Probably not. But guess what? Everyone knows somebody. So we need to make sure we're always building a good relationship with someone because you never know where that's going to evolve to. And so when you're focusing on the community, when you're focused on building a relationship and focused on expanding your network, you are now building what I call your black book. Going back to the old days, we had a black book that we put our contacts in there and we'll do it. But you're building your black book of contacts. So when I go to meet Barry Shore for the first time, and Barry's like, man, I really am looking for an attorney that can help me with this. And be like, man, I know a guy that I met a couple months ago that just told me exactly about this. Can I get you connected with them? Well, if I wasn't actively building my network and getting into those different contacts and getting to know and understand what the other people do, I wouldn't have the opportunity to be able to refer someone to you. And when you refer someone to another person, you ultimately become the hero to 2 people, the person that you're referring and the person you're referring to. And when they need help with something, guess what? They're going to look to you for what you have to offer. You're going to be more top of mind because you just gave them something of high value that really helps make an impact in their life. And so it's so important that we focus on expanding our network every single day. So not just to grow our business, but to help and impact other people and refer to other people.
So let's unpack a few of the things you just gave us, because this is so wonderful. By the way, people who've been listening for a number of years already know this, but for those new people, we have thank God, over 30,000 more this particular show. Whatever you want to know about JR and you really want to know, just go to my website, barryshore.com, BARRYSHORE, barryshore.com, because everything you want to know about JR is going to be there. Just click on barryshore.com and share this with 5 people, because that way we'll touch 1.5 million people. I want to unpack a couple of things you mentioned. There's this idea that people, when they hear the word joy, they think, wow, we're just going to run around, be happy and such. And, like you said, pack it up for the day and go play golf. Well, joy stands for journey of you. Journey of you. What is your journey? You really have a plan for success? Because if you do what the first part that Jaya mentioned that people did, yeah, I sent out my stuff. I did this. I'm through. It's 2:22 in the afternoon. I got the day off. Well, that's called busyness. That's not business. Busy people, very busy. I got so much going on. I can't even get it. That's busyness. That's not business. Remember, business, you want to make sure that the you comes before the I. You're serving a lot of other people. I'm going to give you some insights for everybody. I think you might like this a lot also, JR. The word refer, R-E-F-E-R, reads forwards and backwards the same way. Because as you just said, when you refer someone to someone else, you just created a momentum in the spiritual world that cannot be stopped. You opened up a channel of goodness that is so powerful. That is what refer is. It works forwards and backwards. That's where the good Lord comes in and says, I love you because you're thinking and taking care of others. When you think and take care of others, you can't lose. It's not possible. It's called the law. You know, people hear the law, they think, the spinning thing and get a ticket and stuff like that, right? Well, law is a great acronym. It stands for love and wisdom. Love and wisdom. That's what you just shared with us. This whole ability to build an empire when you just pay attention to your pile every day. We used to call it the wood pile. Remember that? The wood pile?
Yeah.
Well, wood is a great acronym also. It stands for working on ourselves daily. Working on ourselves daily. Now you have your pile. Let's go to your wood pile and make sure you're working on yourself and make sure you're expanding, you're leading, you're improving, you're posting, and that you're loving it. Because if you do it because, well, I got to, then you're in the world of obligation. If you can move from the world of obligation to opportunity, we call it move from obligation to opportunity, you just created a whole new flow for yourself. Now, we only have a few more minutes, and I'm just, to me, this has been absolutely eye-opening, mind-expanding, heart-expanding, wallet-expanding. Thank you, JR. I love it. Please tell us about BLN, why you started it, and what it really does.
Yeah, so BLN stands for Business Leaders Network, and we like to bring together industry leaders to help teach them on leadership, sales, marketing, systems, processes, and finances. And it's a mastermind networking community where we are bringing together industry leaders, but also educating them and helping each other with the referral process. And we do so through weekly mastermind classes, weekly Zoom networking and breakout rooms. We even have monthly happy hours in different cities in the U.S., as well as different events throughout the year. So our next event is going to be our Entrepreneur Summit in St. Louis, Missouri on March 23rd through 25th, which I'm really, really pumped and excited for. Our good friend, Dr. Smiley, is going to be there, and so is Dr. Michelle Mraz. So it's going to be phenomenal. But yeah, we love bringing together industry leaders and just connection. It's all about the community. So everything that the reason why I started it was because I was hungry for relationships with other people. I was hungry for community myself, but I also knew my clients were struggling in regards to finding other people and connecting with new leaders for their business. And so when I designed our Business Leaders Network, it was honestly to just focus on bringing community together so we can help each other grow. And it's been amazing. We launched it September last year, and we're growing rapidly. I mean, just in a short 6 months, we got about 100 members in the community, and my goal is to more than 2x that by the end of this year.
And as I said, everything you want to know about JR and the community and the pile and the growth and the empire, et cetera, go to barryshore.com, barryshore.com. The wonderful part about like you said, I call it the brotherhood loves nurturing. That's BLN.
There you go.
Is that, again, the same word, community, comes up, right? Now in community, the you comes before the I, because that's the essence of community, right? When you are there to be of service, in your world of, the Marines are part of the Navy, if I remember correctly. Is that right?
Yeah, the Department of the Navy.
Yeah, we don't like to say it because Marines are separate, but the Marines are part of the Navy. So in they have this thing called SOS, right? So for people who are not being successful in life, SOS stands for shiny object syndrome. They're always looking for the next thing. What's going on? What's going on? Next thing, and just making energy disparate. But if you really want to know what SOS stands for, then you do what JR does. SOS stands for service over self. When service is driving you, then the self gets taken care of by definition. It has to. It's a law given over by the good Lord. It has to happen. It's called the law of attraction. So you don't rush after business and go out there and grab it and such. You do the wood pile, working on ourselves daily in the pile. And by definition, the law will create that which you need and want. But you got to do the work. Again, it's that 4-letter word ending with K. Work. People sometimes don't want it. JR, coming to the end of our time together this session, I have 3 questions for you. You ready?
Go.
Number 1, will you come back again?
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you. Number 2, you only have 80 seconds to answer this question, sir. Here we go. What is your most fervent desire?
My most fervent desire. Well, it boils down to my purpose in life, and that's to disciple my kids to be disciples of Christ. So everything that I do needs to lead them to the cross, and for me to be the leader of my family and my kids to lead them to the cross. So, being good citizens, and I know that's my mission of what God's called me to do. So my biggest desire in life is to making sure that I'm helping lead and grow my kids, leading them to the cross.
Outstanding. And by definition, if you do that, you will lead many others.
Absolutely.
And the third question is, may I give you a hug in front of 362,000 people around the world?
Let's do it.
Okay, but HUG stands for heartfelt, unlimited giving. Are you ready? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. And this is the joy of living. Remember, joy, journey of you, and the joy of living podcast. And here you tuned in consciously and conscientiously for one reason only, because you care the most in the entire world about you. YOU, which is great, by the way, because when you're the best you make the world a better place. You build more bridges of harmony, you create more joy, happiness, peace, and love. When you follow the advice that's given over here today by J.R. Spear, it will make everything better for you. You go to your wood pile, work on ourselves daily. Pile, remember, posting and improving and leadership of self, and expand your network, because it's only good. And then what happens? You become happier, healthier, and wealthier. We guarantee it, or your money back. Actually, double your money back. And when you use the 3 fundamentals of life, all of these things will happen. 3 fundamentals are, number 1, life. Your life has purpose, as JR just told us. Number 2 is you go mad. Mad stands for make a difference. Number 3, uncover the power and the sequence of everyday words and terms, such as WWW, what a wonderful world. Smile, seeing miracles in life every day. As my 8-year-old niece says, seeing miracles in everyday life. Create the kind of world you want to live in, causing rethinking, as JR told us, causing rethinking, enabling all to excel. And to make sure that you use 4-letter words: love, life, hope, free, grow, gift, play, pray, and tell the world to F you. But remember to add right away, capital N, capital N. Say, where'd you get that? And listen to Barry Shore. He wants to teach the world to F you, capital N, capital N. And use the 2 most powerful words in the English language 3 times a day, every single day for now and the rest of your life, because it will help you, your family, your friends, and all living beings. And who doesn't want that? So we're going to give a blessing from JR and Barry. And our blessing to you is, go forth, live exuberantly. Spread the seeds of joy, happiness, peace, and love. Go mad. Go make a difference. JR, don't go away.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Joy of Living podcast. Now that's another step towards your healthier, happier, and wealthier life. Never hesitate to do good in the world, no matter what the situation. Join us for another upbeat discussion next time at barryshore.com. And be sure to leave a rating and subscribe to the show to get more conversations like this. And remember to share it with your family and friends too. See you on the next episode.